Hey, what's up everyone? Look, the last few hours have been wild in the NASCAR world, and if you're not up to speed, you're about to be. Ryan Blaney just opened up about something that happened to him that genuinely freaked him out, and it has nothing to do with a crash on the track. Then we've got a NASCAR legend jumping into the Cletus McFarland conversation with a take nobody saw coming. And on top of all that, Corey Heim is out here doing things that are making every Cup team's front office sweat a little. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Let's get into it. Ryan Blaney reveals the terrifying moment that still haunts him. To this day, Ryan Blaney is one of the most solid drivers on the grid right now, sitting second in the championship standings, coming off a win at Phoenix, and looking like a legitimate title contender heading into the chase. But this week, during a break from racing, Blaney hopped on Sirius XM radio and told a story that had nothing to do with lap times or pit strategy. It was about electricity. And yeah, it's exactly as wild as it sounds. So here's what went down. At some point after a race, Blaney went to plug in a trailer connector. Completely routine stuff. But the cord had a cut in it that he didn't notice, and the moment his finger made contact, he got hit with a full electrical shock. Not a little zap, a real freeze-you-in-place shock. I was frozen on this thing for probably 5 seconds, and then it threw me off of it, Blaney said. I was on my feet to my back like instantly, and as quick as I went to my back, I was up walking in circles like I had an energy, jolted. I didn't know what happened, like it was so weird. Picture that for a second. A guy who races at 200 mph for a living, completely locked up by a wall outlet cord. And to make it even more cinematic, his dad was right there and watched him disappear behind the trailer, then reappear walking in confused circles. His dad asked what happened. Blaney's answer? I don't know. I think I just got shocked. Blaney was pretty clear that the experience left a mark. I don't want to touch that ever again. That was terrifying. Ever since then, I have a little bit of not a phobia for electricity, but I don't like working with electricity very much. Fair enough, honestly. Now, what's the context here? Blaney was talking about his week off from NASCAR and what he plans to do around the house. He's confident handling most chores, but electrical work? Hard pass. When the interviewer suggested just calling an electrician, Blaney pushed back a little, saying he'd rather figure out the smaller stuff himself. Except, anything involving live wires. Meanwhile, back on the track, Blaney is far from distracted. 7 races into the 2025 season, he's second in the Drivers' Championship, just 82 points behind Toyota's Tyler Reddick, who's been on an absolute tear. The win at Phoenix was his first of the year, and a major statement. With Bristol coming up next, a strong run could shake up the standings in a big way. Reddick isn't going to hand anything over, but Blaney's championship experience, he's already got a Cup title to his name, means he knows exactly how to play the long game. The pressure's building, but this guy was built for it. Transition 1, 2, 950 characters. Alright, that story about Blaney was wild. But hold on, because what's coming next is somehow even more of a talking point right now. A NASCAR legend just threw his weight behind someone who's been dealing with a ton of heat lately, and the timing couldn't be better. Check this out. Mark Martin drops a bold take on Cletus McFarland, and NASCAR is paying attention. When Cletus McFarland signed with RCR and announced he'd be running in the Truck Series, a lot of people were skeptical, some outright dismissive. A YouTube creator jumping into professional oval racing? The naysayers were loud, but something interesting has been happening. The people who actually know NASCAR keep showing up to defend him. First, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. vouching for Cletus. Now it's Mark Martin, a genuine NASCAR Hall of Famer, stepping up with a real substantive take. After McFarland's O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut at Rockingham Speedway, Martin went on X and made his thoughts crystal clear. He said McFarland did great, but then added something that reframed the whole conversation. If you ask him, he's going to tell you it's a lot harder than Daytona. And that context matters, because McFarland's previous Truck Series start at Daytona ended in a DNF after a crash. Rockingham? He finished the race. Let's be real about what that finish looked like, though. McFarland started 35th. He had a close call with Blake Lothian. He picked up pit road speeding penalties. He spun out in the final stage, and he crossed the line 32nd. Not pretty, but he was there at the end. For a guy still learning the nuances of oval racing at this level, that's not nothing. What makes Martin's support extra meaningful is that it wasn't just a one-time compliment. Before the race even happened, Martin was already publicly backing McFarland, pointing out that his massive YouTube audience, we're talking millions of subscribers, would likely tune in to watch, which is a real boost for TV ratings. Martin even suggested that if McFarland could just focus on finishing cleanly without wrecking, a move to Talladega could be on the table. McFarland, to his credit, has been genuinely grateful. He talked about it on the Gluckcast, calling out Martin and Kenny Wallace as two guys who've consistently had his back when most of the paddock was skeptical. I love Mark Martin. That guy has been so gracious to me. Honestly, he and Kenny Wallace have kind of been some of the few guys who have had my back, McFarland said. He's also been honest with himself. He knows he's got ground to cover. The talent is there, but experience on ovals like this takes time and repetition. His current deal is 3 races, with 1 down. Where the next 2 will be is still up in the air. But with Martin watching and nodding, the story isn't going away anytime soon. Now that's a story about someone grinding their way into NASCAR's good graces. But the next one? It's about a guy who's already there, and making the whole sport ask why he isn't being given more. This one just dropped, and it's got people fired up. Corey Heim is dominating the Truck Series. So why isn't he getting bigger opportunities? Let's just say it plainly. Corey Heim is doing something that shouldn't even be possible given his schedule. The guy is running a part-time Truck Series campaign, meaning he's not even in every race, and he's currently leading the championship standings. He just dominated at Rockingham Speedway, taking the win with the kind of clean, controlled performance that makes you forget he's still this young. Smart entries, precise exits, calculated aggression when it counted. But here's the part that really makes your head spin. Heim has missed 2 races this season. He hasn't even been on the track for every round, and he's still sitting at the top of the points table. That's not just consistency, that's a level of efficiency that most full-time drivers can't touch. So the obvious question is being asked louder and louder. Why isn't he getting more shots at higher levels? Look at what this guy has already done. He's been beating full-time competitors week in and week out. He leads laps, closes out races with authority, and carries himself on track with a maturity that doesn't match his age. He's not a prospect anymore. He's a proven winner. The "he needs more reps" argument is getting harder to make when the reps he's already putting in look like this. The logical next step would be a handful of O'Reilly Series or Xfinity starts. But honestly, if a part-time truck guy is leading a championship while missing races, the Cup conversation isn't that far-fetched either. Teams are always hunting for elite talent. Heim's resume, even in a limited role, already checks a lot of boxes. He earned this win at Rockingham. He's been earning it all season. The performance is there. Now it's just a matter of whether the right door opens. Man, what a stretch of news. Blaney's out here chasing championships while dodging electrical outlets. Martin is giving Cletus the kind of credibility that silences critics. And Heim's putting on a clinic that the whole sport can't ignore. My question for you, which one of these stories do you think is going to have the biggest impact on NASCAR over the next few weeks? Drop it in the comments and subscribe. We're not slowing down anytime soon.